I'll Be Home for Christmas wasn't exactly the song the Washington Redskins were expecting to be singing tonight, but thanks to the Chicago Bears, that's exactly where the Skins will be during the upcoming holidays. Walter Payton's 44-yard touchdown run in the first quarter and Steve Schubert's 73-yard punt return for a touchdown in the third was all the Bears needed to end Washington's season with an 8-8 mark. The Bears finished at 7-9. The Washington loss propelled the Atlanta Falcons into a wild-card playoff berth, marking the first time in the Falcons' history that they'll compete in postseason play. Now that leaves 2 playoff spots remaining in the NFC, and they'll be decided tomorrow. Either the Vikings or the Packers will win the Central Division and qualify, leaving the loser competing with the Eagles for the final wild-card spot. Now with the schedule as it is, Green Bay meeting the Rams, the Vikings in Oakland, and the Eagles hosting the Giants, it's anybody's guess who also will be home for Christmas.
Fight of the Week, the new boxing feature starting January 6th on the new-look CBS Sports Spectacular. First-round knockouts, live 15-round championships, highlights of the best fights around. Whether it's L.A. or London, Miami or Hong Kong, we'll be there with the Fight of the Week. All coming your way on the new-look CBS Sports Spectacular. Be there. It'll knock you out. You'll say, you saw it on CBS Sports.
So back live in New York, I'm Brent Musburger, and the season wears on. Still an important half, but you know, Jane and Irv, it never ceases to amaze me what we do with our hardware out of the CBS Control Center in New York. For example, you see us, but here are some of the folks behind the scenes. They are constantly in contact. You see Hal Klassen in the white sweater, Gene Peterson to his left. They're talking to our producers out in the field, keeping up to date on all of the games. Now, it started yesterday afternoon. Bob Fishman, our director right now, has ordered to roll up this highlight package. The producer, Mike Pearl, sits right behind him. We will take you to the key play yesterday. Mike Bragg on the punt. It was Steve Schubert of the Chicago Bears who fielded it about the 27. 2 key blocks, and Schubert was on his way for the touchdown that would knock the Washington Redskins out of the playoffs. But our weekend was just beginning. We had to be in Philadelphia. Ron Jaworski lofting one to Harold Carmichael, who will tip it to keep it in play and then make a sensational catch. Then it was Wilbert Montgomery, perhaps the most unheralded key running back in the NFL this year. Great trap block. Sizemore stands his man right straight up, and Montgomery zips in for a critical touchdown. The Eagles stay alive. The Atlanta Falcons needing a win to wrap up the home field edge for next Sunday. Here comes Dennis Pearson straight up the field. Pearson cuts to the outside. Watch the block that he is about to pick up from number 40 downfield. It is a 100-yard return for a touchdown. It was tied at 14. But Jim Hart has never lost a football game to the Atlanta Falcons. And on this day, he would throw and even scramble in for a touchdown. And then later in the afternoon, we went to the Los Angeles Coliseum. David Whitehurst from out of the end zone. Pat Thomas with a diving interception. Watch Thomas tiptoe back to the 32 before the Packers realize that he's a live body. From there, the Rams scored. Up the coast in Oakland, we had our equipment. And it was Chuck Foreman fumbling the ball. Picked up by Phillips. He dashed in for the touchdown. And as you know right now, Oakland has the Vikings in trouble. Let's get you up to date with all of the scores around the league. Roger Staubach was rested this afternoon. 30-7 is the final score. The Cowboys behind Danny White wrap it up over Walt Michaels and the New York Jets. New Orleans 17, Tampa Bay 10. Doug Williams returns, was injured again, and then finished up the season. The New York Giants losing to Philadelphia 20-3, and now Philadelphia needs a loss by the Vikings to get into the playoffs. They could wrap it up easily. San Francisco today used 4 quarterbacks and still fell to Detroit by a score of 33-14. Cincinnati, 48 points, and you have to believe now that Homer Rice will return as their coach next year. St. Louis 42, Atlanta 21. Atlanta had all the desire in the world, but they couldn't handle Bud Wilkinson and the Cardinals today. And a final is just in. Buffalo beat Baltimore by 7 points, 21-14. Chuck Knox has indeed improved that football team. Now the game that you are watching, Los Angeles leading the Green Bay Packers by 7 in the rain in the Los Angeles Coliseum. 21-6 up the coast. Oakland apparently is going to win big over Fran Tarkenton and the Minnesota Vikings. The young Seattle Superhawks, I almost said Supersonics. Let's make them the Seahawks. 20-3, second quarter, they lead Kansas City. San Diego, 21 right now, Houston 10 in that game. Earl Campbell got off the best run that I have seen this year. But San Diego still leads it 21-10. And the NFL Today will continue on CBS after these messages from your local station.
This is CBS.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours a happy and safe holiday season.
Even though Atlanta lost big today, they still have an excellent chance to be the home team next Sunday. If either Green Bay or Minnesota loses, then they would host the wild card game against Philadelphia. A short time ago, Sonny Jurgensen spoke to General Manager Eddie LeBaron.
I have with me the General Manager of the Atlanta Falcons, Eddie LeBaron. Eddie, not a good effort for your last game. The edge must have been somewhat off with Washington losing yesterday. How does it affect you going into the playoffs?
Sonny, I really don't know. My thought is that we bounced back very good after we've beaten badly a couple other times this year. Obviously, I think we're a little bit off since we had it won, and we're not used to it. So I don't know what happened today, other than the fact that Jimmy Hart had just a super day. I haven't seen a quarterback throw that well and pick us apart any time since I've been here. But I think our team will bounce back. They bounced back all year, and we've got to come with a reckless abandon that we've had in the past. We just didn't get to Jimmy at all today, and you can't do that.
If Green Bay and Minnesota win, you will end up either going to Green Bay or Minnesota. If they both win, you'd end up going to Green Bay. Much prefer playing at home, wouldn't you?
I would think we like to play at home much better. We have a much better record at home, and for some reason that's our place. But we'll go anywhere that we have to go. We're just happy to be there.
Thank you, Eddie, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you very much, Sonny, and our team will come back strong.
Irv, there is one other thing at stake today around the league.
Keep in mind now, where your team finishes today will determine the kind of a schedule they have next year. Remember the formula? First and fourth place teams play first and fourth place teams, second and third place second and third, and the fifth place team have fifth place teams home and away. So whether you're first, second, third, fourth, or fifth will determine the degree of difficulty of your schedule next year.
Oh, it's all perfectly clear. It has been, well, let me show you the kind of day it's been around the National Football League. The light standards at Shea Stadium couldn't believe it either, folks. Look at them. And it was the Cowboys with Danny White out of the shotgun. Here he is hitting Billy Joe Dupree. Dupree is hit by the Jets. The fumble right there to Tony Dorsett, who dashed in for the touchdown for the Cowboys. The other New York team, the Giants. Fake punt. Let's go to the screen pass. Hit Brian Kelly from Dave Jennings. He's hit. Kelly fumbles. Jennings says, I don't want it. I'm getting out of here. No first down. Now, watch. This is the hit of the day. Manning to Childs over the middle. And Childs stayed in the lineup for New Orleans. This is the play that gave them the 17-10 victory. Muncie with a marvelous effort down there by the end zone. For a fake punt, watch Mike Wood of St. Louis. Watch him cock his arm, folks. Never misses a beat. Forgot to take the football. Gets it off the ground, and would you believe it? His man is still wide open. And Steve gets a big gain, and he had a big day for Jim Hart and the Cardinals. 8 for 169 right there. But San Francisco, they lost Steve DeBerg because of an injured knee. Then they went without Scott Bull, who was hurt. Freddie Solomon, a wide receiver, was shifted to quarterback. Then it was Bruce Threadgill, the left-hander, a defensive back. It was Solomon who was the best, because when he got trapped, he just went around the other way and scored a touchdown, but it didn't help. They didn't win it anyway. Shane, you've been keeping track of the key things, like who's going to the Super Bowl, which two teams?
Well, you know, Brent, I told you about 4 weeks ago it'd be Dallas and Pittsburgh. Dallas seems to be coming into it just in their prime, right in time, and Pittsburgh is just a strong team, so I'm not going to pick who's going to win, because today when I picked who was going to win, they lost.
That's right. You did have the Atlanta Falcons big today, didn't you, Jane? I sure did. The Los Angeles Rams, you've been close to them out on the West Coast. You live in Pasadena. What's happened to them?
Well, the Rams have not always been my favorite team, and they've never seemed to be able to pull it off when it really counts, and they don't really get that exciting then. But I don't know. I think they just might change that this year. They're going to give us a good showing.
Ray Malavasi just piped your comments live into the locker room. The Green Bay Packers are in serious trouble in the second half.
Back to our NFL 78 studios in New York. I'm Brian Gumble. Mike Adamley is on assignment in Hawaii. We'll try to get you caught up on the finals of week number 16. The Dallas Cowboys, playing fine offensive football of late, showed it again today at Shea Stadium. 30-7. They ended the Jets season at 8-8. The Cowboys go 12-4. Danny White at the controls of the offense today as Roger Staubach nursed a bad ankle. And White had himself a good afternoon, starting off this drive into the wind, completing a pass to Tony Hill. That one good for 16 yards. And they got it down close. Tony Dorsett, who rushed for 121 yards in the day, took it in to make it 7-0 Dallas. Once again, Danny White up top, this time completing one to Staubach's favorite receiver, number 88, Drew Pearson. That kept the Cowboy drive alive that ended with a field goal to make it 10-0. What kind of day was it for the Cowboys? They were good and they were lucky. Watch this. Danny White completes one right here to Billy Joe Dupree, but as he fights for yardage, the ball comes loose. Who is Johnny on the spot? None other than number 33, Tony Dorsett. He picks it up, and together they combine on a 75-yard touchdown. It was that kind of a day for the Cowboys. They coasted to a big win, 30-7. White finished 15 of 24, 156 yards. They did not miss Roger Staubach at all, at least against the Jets today. The Philadelphia Eagles kept their playoff hopes alive, playing at home. They beat the hapless Giants today 20-3. The Giants lose 7 of their last 8 in what may be their final season under John McVay. It's a fine ball game for this man, number 31, Wilbert Montgomery. He rushed for 130 yards, 24 attempts. That one good for 46 yards early in the ball game. After they got it down close, it was Montgomery once more, and all of a sudden it was 6-0 Eagles. Ron Jaworski did his part, going up top to the Giant, Harold Carmichael. You want to see a mismatch? Look at this. 6'8" against the defender. He takes it in. It sets Philly up for another score. And once again, it's Wilbert Montgomery who does the honors, taking it across, and all of a sudden it's 13-3 Eagles. Philly's defense also played a part right here, picking off Joe Pizarczyk. It's Frank LeMaster. The Eagles coast in 20-3 the final. That is the Eagles' best season since 1966. They will wait until the final outcomes of later games today to find out if they are in the playoffs in the NFC. Cleveland against Cincinnati. The Bengals finish out at 4-12, but they did it in style today. They put it all together and beat the Cleveland Browns 48-16. This was a ball game that Cleveland's Brian Sipes started but left early with a head injury. And Mark Miller came on in relief, and he got a touchdown early in the ball game to make it 6-0 Browns. But then Anderson led the Bengals back upfield and went up top to Don Bass, corner of the end zone, 84, touchdown, 10-6 Bengals. Anderson to Griffin just before the half, 17-6 Bengals. You want to see a bad pass that works? Look at this one. Archie Griffin, hook, right there to Walker, touchdown, 24-6. The Brownies got it back when Greg Pruitt, who rushed for over 100, right there, 178 yards, got 70 of them on this touchdown, but after that it was all Bengals. Get the computer set. In the third quarter, Anderson calls his own number, and all of a sudden, it's 31-16 Bengals. Then Anderson calls Pete Johnson's number. He had a brilliant day. That made it 38-16 Bengals. And then the defense coming to play. Mark Miller picked off by Scott Perry. Perry takes it home. Cincinnati put it all together. The final today, 48-16. The Bengals, though they only won 4 games, they went out in a flash today. New Orleans against Tampa Bay. The Saints a winner today, 17-10. Another good day for Archie Manning, 25 of 36 for 250 yards and 1 touchdown. The Saints finish at 7-9. That is their best season. And San Francisco versus Detroit. The Lions a winner today, 33-14. 16, the 49ers finished the season at 2-14. How bad had things gotten for them? Steve DeBerg, their first-string quarterback, went down with a knee injury. Scott Bull, their second-string quarterback, went down with a leg injury. They called on wide receiver Freddie Solomon to come in and quarterback as he did at the University of Tampa. He came in, he actually ran for a touchdown, but it didn't help the hapless 49ers. The house that Joe Thomas built came crumbling down once again today. We'll go back to the ballparks for updates on the rest of the day's games.
Thompson, a linebacker, and J.C. Wilson, a cornerback, are in on defense for the Oilers. Pedge it right down the middle of Jefferson. Touchdown.
So much strength, but what he does have is he's got excellent touch. He throws the ball just as the receiver makes his final break. He gives the receiver every advantage.
James Young is not injured seriously. He'll be back. There's that quick look into Klein for the touchdown.
And that's all on fouls.
They're going down to the witching hour to decide the Central Division. There's a big hole open, and roaring in for the score is Don Woods. Woods goes in.
Okay, we've talked, Kurt, about how important it is to have a receiver that can get open. But do you know how rare it is to have a wide...
Zorn rolling against the grain, stops, throws back, all alone downfield. Largent, touchdown! Largent!
We talked about Kansas City having trouble in their secondary today, and we got to see a mistake early in the ball game.
57-yard bomb. Jim Zorn to Steve Largent. Largent's 8th touchdown of the season. Penalty marker is down. Hunter is in. The penalty being interpreted. There is referee Bob Frederick.
Penalty flag dropped in air. Touchdown.
Touchdown. Penalty flag dropped in air. And it is Al Hunter.
Look out. There's 9-3.
And it is all the way. Well, how often you will see that happen. Goal line defense, they need half a yard. And Al Hunter scooted through. There was nothing left. 55-yard touchdown.
You're exactly right, Jay. Many, many times in my career, I've seen this happen. The defense comes up to stop a running back for less than a yard gain. Once he bursts through the defensive line, he's gone. He's in the secondary. And we talked about him being able to run 9-3. Look out, Gary Barbaro doesn't stand a chance.
And it is Morgado for the touchdown. Arnold coming through, and that is his 7th touchdown of the season. A very happy Hawaiian right there.
Boy, he's some kind of player, too. We talked earlier about his heart. If you could take his heart and chop it up and give a little bit to a number of players on this team, they'd be one heck of a football team. You see him get off the ball in a hurry, and down at the goal line, if you see that kind of seam, dive, jump, spin, do anything you can to get into the end zone. That was good line surge by our offensive line. He could have fallen in.
Stenerud puts it up, and it is good. Reed needs 15 more yards to become a 1,000-yard rusher, and he's trying for some here. Cuts it back. He's got it, and he may have a touchdown. He is in a foot race with John Harris, and he's in. Reed becomes a 1,000-yard rusher, the first for the Kansas City Chiefs since 1967. 63-yard romp, touchdown Chiefs, and Kansas City can set their teepee back up again.
If you're going to go over 1,000 yards for the season, I can't think of a better play to do it on. Again, that delay sweep, he cuts inside. Bob Simmons is leading him. And right here, he makes a move and just sails through the Seattle secondary, and now he's gone. Looks like Autry Beeman giving him chase too, along with Harris. But boy, that's a great way to go over the 1,000-yard mark, isn't it?
All right, let's see if they take the safety. That's exactly what's going to happen. Herman Weaver running out of the end zone. And you take the safety, take advantage of the rules of the game, don't you? That makes it 23-19 with 15 seconds left. And of course, we're going to have a free kick coming up. Last play of the game, maybe. The throw, incomplete. He went for Walter White. Pass underthrown. The ball game is over. And Seattle becomes the first third-year expansion team ever to win 9 games. Jack Patera's club finishes 9-7. Kansas City finishes 4-12.
The Minnesota Vikings fumbled their way into the NFC Central Division title. 3 Viking turnovers in the first 11 minutes were converted into 21 points by the Raiders as Oakland went on to win it 27-20. However, the Purple Men still won the title and a spot in the playoffs despite their dismal 8-7-1 record because the Packers were soundly beaten by the Rams 31-14. 2 short touchdown runs by Cullen Bryant staked the Rams to a 14-0 advantage. Green Bay cut it to 14-7, but the Rams assumed command for good on Pat Hayden's 22-yard touchdown pass to Willie Miller. Now, despite finishing with the same record as the Vikings, Green Bay was eliminated from the Central title because of an early season loss to Minnesota and the wild card spot because the Eagles beat the Giants 20-3 to end the season at 9-7. Wilbert Montgomery's 2 first-quarter touchdowns paced the Philadelphia win. So the Eagles will now meet the Falcons in Atlanta Christmas Eve in the NFC wildcard game.
Felt out of fairness to the team that we should have this thing determined. I initially asked them to see if they would postpone any negotiations till after the Super Bowl so our team could concentrate on that, and he said no, they had to have an answer immediately. And the reason they had to have an answer was that their recruiting program would suffer with any delays. I will tell you that he told me that he would like to continue for the remaining games to coach the team, and I told him that while I had a great deal of respect for him, that long before Chuck Fairbanks and Bill Sullivan in the National Football League, in biblical times, it was said that no man can serve 2 masters. And I said, as good as you are, Chuck, I don't think you can run a recruiting program in Boulder, Colorado, while getting a team ready for the Super Bowl in Foxborough, Massachusetts. So I therefore suggested that he not be with the team for the balance of the year. I would have to say that it's a tremendous disappointment to me. I think that Chuck Fairbanks came here when the team was at a low ebb and has made it one of the most respected teams in the league. And it was a difficult decision. So I told him that I was acting in what I felt was the best interest of the Patriots family and having people on hand who would devote full time, no distractions, to getting us to succeed in the quest for the Holy Grail, which is sometimes known as the Super Bowl.
We've talked about it, I think, between ourselves. We care a lot about Coach Fairbanks. He's done a lot for the New England Patriots, and we've got a great coaching staff here, and they're part of that closeness we've had that's been a major part of our success. And I would be very sorry to see him go, but you know, we can't worry about that right now. That's his business, and we're here. We got our chance to go to the Super Bowl, and all you can ask for is a chance. There's only 10 teams that get that chance every year. And we've got to worry about that right now and not worry about where he's going.
Well, there's nothing really much at stake for you. There is for the Dolphins, because a win tomorrow night will give them a home field in the playoff with Houston losing today. Is that want you to perhaps beat them a little bit more?
Well, we would like to beat them because there's still a chance that we will meet them in the playoffs. And I think having beaten them twice during the year, that would give us a little bit of an advantage in the playoffs, but at the same time, we've got to be smart and keep some of our guys out that are hurt. And, you know, I hope Miami does well in the playoffs. I'd like to play them for the AFC title. I think it'd be a hell of a ball game. And, you know, we've got to take care of our business to get there, and then they've got to do that also.
Try to play well when I come here. Not been in vendetta or anything like that, but you know, we never beaten Miami here for one thing, and I like to win a game here before it's over. You know, before my career is over. But fortunately, we won our division for the first time in a lot of years, but we never had the good fortune to beat Miami. We've had a lot of tough games. You know, a couple of games where I thought we should have won, but somehow, some way, Miami always seem to come back and come up with the big play and end up winning the ball game. This game, we're going to go out and try to play as hard as we can and put on a good performance, because no team want to be flat going into the playoffs, you know, and we're going to, of course, try the rest of those guys that have injuries, which I'm sure Coach Schuler's going to do too, but at the same time, we want to put on a good performance so that we'll know where we are, because we're going to have a week off before the playoffs start, and I like to feel confident knowing that I got everything together before we get into the big ball game.
Well, I think just to notice the importance of our squad, of our defensive players, particularly because we work with them, trying to do the things the right way, trying to be conscious of what their assignments are, and then working to get it done. That's all it is, really, is knowing what I do and then just going out and doing it to the best of my ability. But you got to know what to do, and you got to be sure. If you aren't sure, then you're going to be hesitant, and you can't play defense and be hesitant.
One more thing. This game on Monday could be meaningless, as everybody knows. Is it tough to keep your players' minds on New England and not looking past to Houston, that first playoff game, because of maybe what Houston did to the defense earlier in the year?
I don't think so. I don't think it's any different, really, than any other week in keeping your mind on what you have to do. In other words, if you don't do that, then we're going to go out and things are going to happen to us, and we don't want that to happen. The player individually doesn't want that to happen. So I don't think that's really a factor. It's something that we can't overlook. It's something that, as a coaching staff, and we have to.
It is a reality.
Right. And it's something that we have to face up to, and it's something that we have to keep reminding them of, but we have to do that every week. So I really don't think it's any different than any other week.
You don't believe in meaningless, do you?
Well, it's meaningless from a standpoint of maybe a home where we play the game, but it's not meaningless to the way our defense, particularly speaking again of the way it continues to improve or the way it reacts.
The game's important to us. We got our personal pride and team pride, and you know, of course, then if we win, we got home field advantage against Houston, which makes a big difference to us too. You know, being here in front of 75,000 friendly fans is a lot easier on us, and you know, it kind of gives you a little more adrenaline. So I'd like to rather play Houston here, and I'm glad to see San Diego helped us out.
Yourself personally, you've been going pretty well the last couple of weeks getting to play.
Well, I've saved myself. My body's been saved until the past couple of games, and I really feel healthy and good. And our team really as a whole is very, very healthy.
I hear they're starting to call you Captain Crunch too.
No, never like Mike Colvin, never.
I think even if either one of the teams weren't in the playoffs, it would still be a competitive game because you have that rivalry that's going to be there, and everybody's going to be trying to win.
Have you found at all during this week, Duriel, that some of the players might have been looking beyond New England? I mean, that's got to be something in the back of your mind, thinking of Houston and what they did to you and what you're going to have to do to beat them in the first playoff game.
Well, that's something in the back of your mind, but it's not at the top of your head, because we realized last time we played New England, they beat us up there, and we had a pretty good game, but they came back, and we want to try to establish ourselves, and to beat a good team like New England would give us the lift that we need going into the playoffs, because you can't lose to the good teams over and over and try to build your momentum and your confidence. So this is going to be a game where we have to put everything together and get ready for Houston and go into it with a positive attitude.
This gives us the opportunity to have the wild card game here in Miami if we do the job tomorrow night. So it really does add emphasis to our game tomorrow night.
So does this change your thinking going into the game, Bob? Going up more to win it, all out to win it now?
I think so. You know, we're always out to win the ball games, but I feel that we may have rested some people more had this game not been as important as it is now. So this game is, you know, a lot more meaningful now.
Mentally, what does this do for you? Does it get you up a little more? Or, I mean, otherwise it was just, well, the Patriots are here.
Well, it's an awful crisp practice tonight. The guys felt real good, and I think part of that was due to the fact that Houston did get beat, and this does give us a lot more incentive tomorrow.
You know, that's not something we're proud of, but Miami's always got a good football team, and it seems like every time we come down here, something's at stake. So they're always ready to play well, and we still want to play well. There's a big rivalry between ourselves and Miami, but at the same time, the pressure's off for a little while, and we've had a good week of practice. Everybody's been loose and relaxed, and in one way, that may help us play a little better.
Let me ask you one final thing, Steve. How much longer will you keep running the ball like you do? How long can you last doing that?
I don't, a lot of people ask me that, and that's my style of football, and I think it makes me more effective as a quarterback. And so far, I've been lucky, and I think as long as you're smart and use your head, know when to get down and get out of bounds, it can be a very effective weapon for an offense. But I suppose as I get older and maybe I get hurt once or twice, I'll slow down. But right now, it's a major key in what I'm trying to do in the NFL, and I think it helps our offensive team.
20 seconds to air. Stand by, all cameras. Stand by in videotape. Stand by slow-mo. Stand by to open your mics on the field. Stand by in graphics. Ready with your opening supers. Stand by the announcers in the booth, please. And roll tape. 3, 2, 1. Take tape.
Tied New England. McAllister to Jackson to Grogan to Francis. First and goal to go at the 5-yard line. Take a look at it. Now he has to make it look like a block. That's his role. And he hits and takes a couple of counts, and then he splits the gap. There it is. Pickup of 24, and New England is threatening. The all-world tight end, Russ Francis. Horace Ivory finds a little gap and gets down inside the 2-yard line. A second stick off here in the first quarter. Second and goal. Cunningham. Flag is down. With Cunningham in the end zone. I think there was a motion call there against the Pats. You got it. That'll back it up. What a competitor this man is. You talk to these New England players. He walks into the huddle. Last week when they had to have it in the closing seconds, he took them into field goal range. And you get the comments, there was never a question they would get there. Goes back home with his folks in Kansas, up at 6 in the morning. Just saw the call. Threshing the wheat. Remarkable young man. He really is. So that extends the yardage for the Patriots. Second and goal to go. The ball now just inside the 8-yard line. Stanley Morgan goes right. To the left is Jackson. Russ Francis split wide left. Jackson in the slot. Horace Ivory. And in the arms of Gerald Small. He's out of bounds inside the 3-yard line. Remember, Grogan can run, and he likes to run. Firing into the end zone, and it's incomplete, intended for Cunningham. Let me they're doing the right thing under the circumstances. McAllister 37, Cunningham is 39. Same play. He'll run it. This is run. He did not get in. Just a quick slant. It's just a timing pattern. Now we're going to see Hannah on his block again. And take another look at Hannah. Yeah, we had straight ahead. Zone blocking. Ivory coming back against the grain. Carrying Charlie Babb with him down at the 3-yard line. Crafted well. Babb, the veteran, much injured, but so quickly healed. Ivory. And great defensive play. Carl Barisic. In on the goal line defense. Caught the first time when Grogan couldn't get it in. Morgan and Jackson. Those split to the left. The tight end Russ Francis to the right. Grogan.
kid I told you about.
He stepped out of bounds at the 41.
Otherwise, he had a touch.
Gerald Small, the rookie fourth-round draft pick out of San Jose State, picked off a pass, poorly thrown by Grogan.
So as this game progresses, we look at it again. Remember, twice. Gerald Small right in the plane of the pass, looking for it, reading it, and Grogan with not a good throw. Fortunately, he's got such a great record, because there, New England having used the flea flicker earlier, Miami came up with it, and a big gain with the small interception. We look at it again.
Right here, Duriel Harris drove to the inside, and you saw him coming back outside, and he had Claiborne going all the way with him. Third-year man out of New Mexico State. Carry your premium for the conversion. And it's blocked. And how often do blocked or missed conversions come back to haunt you? We'll find out, and we'll be back in the Orange Bowl after this.
Against the Oilers, second quarter, 0-0. San Diego ball, 3rd 9 at the 33. Dan Fouts, underrated quarterback, 14, back to pass. The brilliant rookie, John Jefferson, the reception, 33 yards, touchdown. The Chargers, 7-0. On the next series, Houston ball, 1st and 10 on their own 30. Look at 34, Earl Camp will break those tackles. It seems incredible he even gets away from that would-be tackler. All the way downfield, picking up blockers as he went. Finally, down here. Could have hurt his leg on that one as you saw the left leg spin back. But he's all right, 50 yards. And so 2 plays later, Oiler ball, 2nd and 11 at the San Diego 21. Dan Pastorini to 42, Bob Woods. What a catch, touchdown. And it was tied at 7-7. Later in the same quarter, with the Oilers leading 10-7, it was the Chargers ball, 1st and 10 at the Houston 37. Dan Fouts back again, excellent protection. Deep downfield, intended for 89, Dwight McDonald. He gets it, touchdown, 14-10, San Diego. In the fourth quarter was 38-24, and Fouts hit John Jefferson again. San Diego won it 45-24, 13 touchdown catches for John Jefferson on the season, tying the NFL rookie record. Atlanta at St. Louis, Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis. Second quarter action, 7-0 Atlanta. And there, St. Louis ball, 2nd and 1 at the Atlanta 37. Jim Hart passes to Dave Steef, 84, touchdown. That made it 7-7. Then, on the very next series of downs, Atlanta had the ball, 2nd and 10 at the St. Louis 45. We isolate on 82, Bob Pollard. He fights past 73, Bill McKinley, sacks 10, Steve Bartkowski, fumble, and St. Louis recovers it on the Atlanta 45-yard line. Then with the score, 7-7, St. Louis moves downfield after the fumble. 3rd and 16. What a catch by Dave Steef. A one-handed catch, and that's worth looking at again. You'll never see a better catch, not anywhere. Different angle. Look at that. Steef having himself a great day. Then, that set up an Al Chandler 12-yard touchdown reception. The Cards moved ahead 14-7. This was the ensuing kickoff. Dennis Pearson, number 81. Blocking ball forms, hole opens, cuts right, escapes that tackle, down the sideline, escapes that tackle, and now he's off and running. Keep your eye open. Brilliant block on Wolsey, number 44. Pearson goes 100 yards, touchdown. The game tied at 14 apiece, the longest kickoff return in Falcon history. But Jim Hart picked up again in the second quarter. The Cards leading 21-14. He ran it in. That made it 28-14. The Cards went on to win 42-21. It's a happy Tom Banks. He has to have a victory for the Pack to get into the playoffs. The opponent's the Rams. And in the first quarter, Cullen Bryant goes over the right side. 1-yard touchdown. A quick 7-0 lead for the Rams. In the third quarter, the Rams with stalwart defense, but as usual, not a great offense, leading 14-0. Right there, Whitehurst pitches back to Turdell Middleton, and Middleton, having a great season, bursts in for the score, 14-7 LA. Later in the third quarter, Los Angeles ball, and Pat Hayden right there, throwing to number 82, Willie Miller, a 21-yard touchdown. The Rams
Patriots ahead 21-7. Still in the fourth quarter. The Packers had the ball. 1st and 10 at the Ram 22. Whitehurst, the youngster from Furman. Screen pass to Middleton. Don't give him an opening. He'll take advantage of it. He does that right there. He bursts all the way down for a touchdown. 21-14 the Rams. In the fourth quarter, 24-14 the Rams. 57 seconds left in the game. Green Bay ball. 1st and 10 at their own 45. Rob Perry, he's used to doing that. His 8th interception on the year. His 3rd intercept for a touchdown. You'll see him in the Pro Bowl game. Los Angeles beat Green Bay 31-14, eliminated the Pack.
7-yard line.
So what a beautiful call by Bob Greasy. And at this point in time, with the continued domination, as you look at Duriel Harrell, with the speed, following his blockers, downfield.
First and goal. Gary Davis, the flag is down. Davis is down. Gary Davis, touchdown Miami. And the master likes what he sees.
And the crowd waves the handkerchiefs, and the Dolphins move to a commanding 3-touchdown lead. 1 conversion. Look at the blocking on the right side of the line here. And look at Jim Langer in the middle.
And Wally Pursuit is filling in for the injured Larry Little. Gary Premium comes out. Gary Davis is having another fine year.
Gal Bollies and Louis Obispo. There's a lot for Mr. Sullivan, the Patriots owner, to think about. A lot for these Patriots players to think about. They all must be wondering what's it. Fairbanks is gone.
Well, Miami has extended their lead. They lead the Patriots 20-0. We have 8:27 remaining in the third quarter, and we'll be back. Football. Getting away from the linebacker. Look at the little outside move. That freezes Norris Thomas. And then he just puts the head down and goes toward the goal line.
You can't measure that man's ability. He's awesome. They've underused him tonight.
1st and goal is the 3. Calhoun. Oh. 2nd and goal. Horace Ivory. The crowd loves it.
Turnovers that led to Miami's score.
Whoa, Cunningham, up-handed. He didn't get in there.
Last time he was in, he led the way in stopping the Pats' goal.
Owen, incomplete.
How do you like that?
Intended for Ivory, incomplete. Owen in trouble once again. He has to throw into a crowd. He goes on a 35-yard attempt. Used to be a ball boy with the Miami Dolphins. It's good. So New England's on the scoreboard. 8:09 remaining in the game, and we'll be back in the Orange Bowl after this. They faked a field goal against Baltimore a few weeks ago and scored a 7-yard touchdown pass. This a 30-yard attempt to tie an NFL record.
He got it.
They join John Stenerud and Don Cockroft. 16 consecutive field goals. He'll be in the Pro Bowl also.
There he is in isolation. He doesn't sell ties anymore. He doesn't drive cars. He does nothing now but kick. He wants to keep that body going as long as he can. And look at Strock throw his arm in the air. This team is together. when most it counts as they go into the playoffs, and they reflect their coach, a man named Shula.
Interesting. You know, some people might say, well, why stick another 3 points on us when you had a 20-3 lead? But that is the type of person Don Shula is. How many times in a lifetime does somebody have an opportunity to equal or set an NFL record?
You have to be pleased the way that the defense played tonight, and for the last 3 weeks, really, the 2 goal line stands tonight were just outstanding goal line stands, and then the 3 interceptions really helped us stop drives by New England. Our offense scored some early points and did a good job, and injury-wise, we're sweating out Larry Little. We don't know how serious he is, and Bob Greasy tried to fall on the ball. I think he hurt his ribs, and we're hoping that that isn't serious, and that we can line up and get ready for Houston with most of our people healthy.
I think the crowd advantage, makes a lot of difference. A lot of teams play better when they're at home because they have the crowd behind them. It kind of gives you a pick-me-up, when there's that many people, cheering and making a lot of noise, and it kind of gets your adrenaline flowing a little bit more. And, you might be able to do just a little bit more, so that much extra, to do what you have to do.
You're in the playoffs. What does this mean to you?
Well, it's great for me because, it's my first year, and we made the playoffs. We haven't been here in 4 years, and I'm just, glad that I could, come in and contribute something and help us get there.
Well, I felt like, the game didn't mean much to us, and I really don't feel like we prepared the way we should have coming into the game, and then with all that going on, I think that distracted somewhat, but, you can't say how much one or the other affected the whole thing.
Excited to be back. It's been a few years since I've been in a playoff game. The people here that have stuck with us through our lean years deserve to see the game that they'll see Sunday, because I think we're going to come out with a lot of intensity and a lot of power. And as I said, right now we're playing championship-style defense, and that's what you have to play to be able to win games.
We got beat by Houston, a good game, the first game, and they're coming into our home turf this time. We want to really put it to them because, number one, it's been the playoffs, the first leg of the playoffs, and then number two, it's like a revenge time for us, and we really want to put it to them.
I don't think it's a revenge thing. I think it's, it's more professional ethics. We're trying to get somewhere, and they're trying to get somewhere, and they're in our way, and we're in their way. So it's up to us. It's up to us to move them. We want to be the team that go to Pittsburgh and keep Houston from being the team that go to New England.
Could be if we let it be, but I think, like I said, everybody else has got to take up a little slack, and something we can't change. We've gotten this far with the rest of the people we've got, so we just got to go out and do it, and there's no reason why we can't. I still got to go home and sit down and think about everything that's happened, and figure out where we are and where we're going. And until I do that, I really got nothing much to say about the whole thing.
Sir, I'm a new company. Address, yeah. This helps our confidence a great deal. We played 3 solid ball clubs. The offense has played great. The defense has played great, and it's a launching pad for us.
We're really believing in each other. Our problem early in the year was that when a team got rolling on us, nobody was there to make the big play, to change the momentum, to turn it around. And now it seems like whenever anybody gets something going, somebody steps in the way of a pass or makes a sack, and we stop their momentum. And then our goal line defense has really been exceptional. Our people up front are just doing a great job making the runners dive, linebackers coming over the top, just vicious hits, and we've played real good goal line defense in the last 3 weeks. And when you have that kind of cohesion and confidence, you come up with the plays, and you play good defense, and you play the type of defense you need to win championships.